Although, go ahead.
Like the other two groups, sort of our main overriding idea was wanting to connect with walking and bike with not having to use the street. There was a pretty big aversion within our group to having to come along Othello here. And so we were looking more at a trail that came, along through here, down to Myrtle, and then we also had a couple of options to either, come through here and try and catch this commercial corridor, or try to avoid it and come back around this way to Othello Park. When we were prompted to think about, well, how would we mark that so that people knew they were staying on the trail, we talked about, having maybe just like placards or something along the way, and I was just thinking educational, so like maybe a mix of science and historical facts. Somebody threw out, who is John C. Little Sr.? Nobody knew. But, maybe some that... Okay, we didn't in our group, sorry. Or maybe, with going back to the presentation, some of them about what, prehistorically, what was here, the water that flowed through here. So a mix of, so that it's interesting and, it grabs attention with kids and stuff as you're coming through. Let's see, what else did we, so we talked about, so we see some gateways along here also for marking entrances to the parks. I'm not understanding all of our notes.
Well, they're all done differently.
Yeah, we talked about wanting to...
natural pedestrian connection, yeah.
And maintaining like kid-friendly stuff, so fun play spaces in each of the parks, maintaining this hill over in Othello Playground that is sledding when we actually get snow.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm glad you know that now.
Hill.
Yeah, so there's Bunny Hill. Maybe trying to do a water feature that goes along where water used to flow through here as sort of a calming, soothing thing.
Well, and having not really following the sidewalk here,
right.
Because we had a neighbor, she had to leave, Jennifer, she said, I don't really want people walking right in front of my house, so she suggested keeping it more in the park, having some path that would connect with this, that would connect all the way down. So, and then you suggested one that would walk,
right,
just more walking.
Representing what I know some of our New Holly neighbors are trying to do in John C. Little. An exercise path around the perimeter of John C. Little with different exercise stations, which serves the dual purpose of, another outlet, in theory, for youth, something to do, fitness, but then also does create more of that. There's more movement than around and creating more eyes looking into the park then as well, so also a safety thing.
We talked about having walking connections. If you leave Safeway, where do you go through here? Or, I don't know how that can be strengthened. Better signage to the corner there. Yeah.
Can I throw in a random thought, even though I wasn't at this table?
Sure.
No.
Oh, maybe we need to vote.
You weren't at the table. It doesn't.
No.
Do we have a
Cecilia now. Anyway, and if we did this walking exercise route that both appeal, the stations that both appeal to youth and to the seniors, then we get the seniors.
I like that.
Yeah, put youth and seniors. Yeah, we did. We were going to write that on there.
I wanted to throw in something, if it's kind of related to ours, but it's also related to this one. That the connection, the path that we had, that I walk, it starts. There's sidewalk all the way here. You go through sidewalk here. They only then you get into the. Wait a minute. And then then you get into the parking lot of the. When you cross the street, the parking lot, there's a little path there that's gravel, but up to here, up to this point, there's only been concrete. So then when you get out here, you're on the Chief South Trail, or asphalt. You're on asphalt. Then when you get down here, you go past the community garden. There's just a little bit of area under the community garden that is this part here. That is, gravel. So you're only looking at gravel here, gravel there, and then you cross. Then you're walking down a city street, a sidewalk, and then you cross the street, and there's just a tiny little bit of gravel here. So then you walk. This is the asphalt to the park, and you walk down the road. Everything else is sidewalk. So if you had, like in Boston, they have this Freedom Trail. All you would have to do is pave these little tiny sections. Maybe there's 3 little tiny sections you have to pave. You would have, when you talked about markings so people know where they're going, and they have the Freedom Trail in Boston that has a red line painted through all these. And you talked about these little signs. Well, these were historical places, very historical because our country is founded on them. And anyway, so you just keep going. You have this little red line that could go all the way through this whole thing, all the way down to Othello Park, from Vanisell Park. Now, if you wanted to walk from this park to that park, all the way, enjoy all 3 parks, and then, of course, when you get in Othello Park, you have lots of paved paths, and you'll probably have more. That's what I think we should have enhanced, is paths in all the parks. So anyway, that's that. I was just going to put in this idea of the line, of the red line of the walking, because that would certainly connect.
It would be nice to have the mile markers written on there too. Where you are.
Yes.
The other thing is that at Othello Park, there's those 3 poles that have banners, metal banners on them, and we were thinking that if you had that somehow. Yeah, it could be over here. Although these aren't really seen from the street, it's only when you're really in the park. One of them is, but that could be a way to put the art or that kind of metal stuff. Now,
We'll get to have
yeah,
a pit with a
insects
skewer
and
and roast a deer every year.
bird and lizard or something in that one.
Just coming out.
I don't know what the rest of our group is. Our group?
I know, our group just kept being on us. Concerns about the noise, the neighbors of outdoor events. So since there's no one that actually lives on the park, we'll have to get them here next time.
All right. Awesome. Round of applause, everyone. Phenomenal. All right. Who's hungry? So while you're eating, we're going to have you do an exercise.